too hot.
No, it's
Yeah,
not
that's a
good.
good point. That's
Too
gonna
hot to
suck.
be outside.
That's gonna
Just use
suck.
that.
Haven't really thought that
But you
part
just
through.
said you were cold. So Neil,
Me?
if two chimpanzees
I was-
shared Amazon,
Sorry, we can't just wing it.
And public comment.
Sorry.
Well, there you go.
Ben, where's the tribute?
Well, it is a publicly noticed meeting. It's a publicly noticed meeting, so I felt like,
Oh, yeah, it's not 9:30.
It is now.
That was impeccable. I looked at
See,
5:29.
all you do is ask.
As soon as I said it, it changed.
It made that. That was my favorite.
Every 60 seconds or so.
No, I'm not.
Wait, I have one too on my calculator.
Where do you get
I'm
these
sitting
stickers
over
from?
Kenji, are you ready?
It's just so radiated.
All right, we're on.
That's so cute.
All right, good evening and welcome to the June 25th, 2025 Oshtemo Charter Township Budget Meeting. It's my pleasure to welcome you here. I'm calling this meeting to order and I welcome you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, to get us started, I invite a member of the board to share a portion of the township's core value.
Core value, leverage new technologies and ways of doing business to increase accessibility and improve services.
Thank you. Isn't that funny
Wasn't that
that,
same from last night?
It's very
they're
similar.
related? They're
Very
in
similar.
this, they're in the same core value. I checked, I double checked. It is interesting, you're up first though, right, John?
I know.
Next we have item 5, which is approval of the agenda. Is there anyone here wishing to make any changes to the agenda this evening? If there are none, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda. Support.
Motion and support, motion by trustee Ford, support by trustee Sikora. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. And I just realized I skipped remote location, but we're all here, so I guess we don't have to worry about that one. Item 6 is public comment on non-regular session items. Is there anyone here in the public wishing to make comment on non-regular session items? Seeing none, I will close public comment and we'll move right into the work session. And so this is, I guess, essentially part 2 of what we started last night. And we invite our department heads to come and present their AGVs, their achievements, goals, and visions, share with you. And this is to inform the decisions that we will make later this year with regard to budgetary considerations and projects. So first up, I'd like to welcome our Information Technology Director, John Gibson.
Hello.
Hello.
So, John Gibson, I've been doing IT for 30 years. Well, Sherry was asking about how long people have been doing stuff last night, so been doing this a long time, only got a few more years left. And, no, it's just a very
Kinda
welcome
is.
thing for me. So, some of the things we did in 2024 and into 2025, one of the big things we did is we upgraded this room. We've made it more flexible for meetings, just like we're having tonight, so that we can meet in the back room without, or to be able to be heard and not for people to struggle to hear when they're watching online. So that was a really big thing that we did for the township hall itself. We are kind of on a camera kick around here. I know some people, either they love them or they hate them. But we needed to put a camera out at OCC on one of the voting boxes for the clerk's office. So we said, hey, let's take the opportunity to actually put cameras in both meeting rooms and in the hall so that the parks and maintenance can verify if renters have locked the doors, change the trash, do whatever. So that's been actually pretty successful. We've a couple times had to go pull data to verify, that the work was done or it wasn't done, and so we could say, hey, you're not getting your deposit back and here's why. So it has been helpful to the point where we're actually, maintenance is in the process of installing cameras at the Carriage Barn and Grange Hall for the same purposes, not obviously to spy on people or anything, it's more of a, hey, we're trying to protect our property and we've asked you as part of the contract to do X, Y, Z, and you didn't, and that's why you're not getting your deposit back. So that's something in part of the goals today, my goals, but as also as an achievement, is we completed one of the facilities and we'll complete the other 2 facilities this year and get that up and running, hopefully in the next month or so. In 2024, we actually ditched our old phone system and went to a cloud-based system. Mixed reviews on that. It either works really well or it doesn't. The old PBX systems, once you put them in and got them working, they work pretty much flawlessly for years and years and years. Now you can have a line cut somewhere between here and Detroit, and all of a sudden you don't have phones for a couple hours until something gets rerouted and fixed. So it's been I'm not gonna say a huge challenge, but it has been a bit of a challenge at times. We'll sit here for 10 or 15 minutes without phones, and it's just something Telnet is working on, and they're trying to improve that process, so. But the beauty is we are in the cloud now, so if we do at some point say, okay, this just isn't working, and we wanna look for another vendor, but again, a lot of things are not under our control, or even their control, you know, they're buying services from either AT&T or whoever else, and you're kind of tied to that. We replaced all the e-poll books for the clerk's office, for voting last year. So there's 12 of them plus, is it 12? Or is it 11 plus a spare? I don't remember. 10 plus a spare. So, that was a big thing we did in the clerk's office to get them, on Windows 11. Get them, to where the state wanted them to be, and, now we should be good for another 4 or 5 or 6 years with them. The big thing that, in some of the meetings, Zach has always asked, you know, about IT, how many requests do we get, how much stuff do we get in? In June of last year, we actually implemented an IT support ticketing system for everybody to start using. We're having about 80% success of people to use it. We're getting some people, you know, that quit sending Teams reports in and using this ticket system. We recorded 551 tickets in that year. And oddly enough, that equated out to about 500 and some odd hours of, you know, direct time put just towards those tickets. And the other thing that we've been working, I pretty much finished it, as well as the fire department's been struggling with their AEDs, the way they talk to the network and the way they talk to Stryker, that their database that tracks, you know, when the AEDs are used and whatnot. They've been struggling with that, and we finally figured out a solution for those so that they're actually communicating properly. So that was kind of something we've been working on for 3 or 4 years, and we've got an aha moment, and it's like, now we can get them all to work pretty much easy and flawless, and so that was kind of a nice thing. The thing we're working on this year, we found that several times that we've had power outages and we needed people to work from home, and not everybody had a laptop. So one of the big pushes this year was to get everybody onto a laptop. So now we've completed that. Everybody that would need to work from in a remote situation during a closure have laptops and have remote access to our systems. So that's one of the few things we have completed. So yay for us. One thing I have to have completed by October is upgrading all of our Windows 10 computers to Windows 11. Windows 10 is going to be no longer supported with security patches in the middle of October, so we're projecting to be done before that timeline. I'm down to 5 township computers and 4 fire computers. The rest have either been swapped out or they were able to take the update and still be functional.
Still not loving that update,
So
but I'll get there.
that said, you will see a budget amendment coming before the end of the year. We have 3 computers, maintenance, parks, and the supervisor's computer that aren't gonna take the update. They will physically take the update, but they will not be functional once we put the update on. So we'll need to, we didn't budget for those to be replaced. So we've been actually pretty good. The amount of computers we actually budgeted for this year, I've been able to purchase more with the same money, catching sales and deals with Dell. But we're gonna come up, you know, three short that we just hadn't planned on replacing this year. So unfortunately, once you say, okay, now I gotta replace these computers, and all of them that we're replacing are Microsoft computers, that also means I need to change docking stations and, you know, adapters and whatnot to make them all work. So it's not just a computer, it's extra stuff, but we're actually doing pretty good, so.
How many computers do we have?
We have around 80 computers between the fire department, both stations and Township Hall.
Awesome.
So, one thing you'll always see on my goals is cleaning up old and unused files on the township server. We're always trying to find departments that, you know, hey, can you look at your stuff? Can you look at your stuff? Look at your stuff. Normally we get the same response back. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. But the planning and public works have actually this year, they may have started last year, but they're actually sitting down and going through their stuff, and I'm sure they'll talk to it. But it's gonna be really helpful once they get through it all. we can almost put like a half check mark beside, look at some of those old files and get them cleaned up and in a good space. I already touched on installing cameras at the Grange and the carriage barn. We have 2 network attached storage devices here, one that we run off of, one that's a backup. They're 7 years old. I have the new one sitting in my office. I just have to configure them and get them swapped out. So within the next month or 2, those will be swapped back out and they'll be good to go for another 5 to 7 years as well. We just had our first in-house training. We did an Adobe training for the department heads. We actually had it recorded so that the township staff can, watch it as well. We're gonna try to, a couple times a year, have some staff training coming out of the IT department, just trying to help with efficiencies within the office. We asked the staff what they wanted, and the Adobe training was one of the first ones that we're gonna do. So we've done kind of a basic one. We'll do a more advanced one a little later this year, and then we'll look at next year what we wanna do. And then one of the things that I still need to do is I've got this ticketing system, but getting the metrics out of it is not super easy, so I need to figure out a better method to pull this out. At least it does, I can get it out to an Excel spreadsheet, but then you have to take and manipulate the data to get what you want out of it. But with any luck, the more I use it, the better we'll get on it, and then I'll be able to give you guys actually some more better information. If you want it. If you don't, you just tell me you don't, that's fine. Some things you're always gonna see on here is like, it's always ongoing, we always reviewing and creating new policies, reviewing them more often than not, just to make sure that they're still in line with what we wanna see out of the IT department and see for the township. Most of the times they don't change, but periodically they will change, and obviously if a change happens, you guys will see it because you'll need to vote on it. And we always are looking for, are we with the right vendor for our hosted services? Are we with the right vendor for our phone services? We're constantly trying to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck for the monies that we spend, because some of these hosted services are quite expensive. And again, working with department heads for folder cleanup, work with the fire department off and on with new softwares, see if there's something we can do better to automate. We were looking at their, what do you guys call them, the commercial locks that they can go and unlock a commercial property, Knox boxes. So we were looking at working with that program, and then Mr. Fuller came in and said, well, let's just change them out with all these new ones that are talking wirelessly to the network. So we got to actually scrap a whole laptop and software program that we didn't even need anymore, and they actually made it more efficient for themselves and dropped IT from it. So good and bad there, but it's still an improvement. So we last year approved some time for a consultant, Microsoft consultant. I've been working with him, looked over our systems, kind of decided, if we're going to stay with the domain Active Directory system that we have, if we're gonna move to Azure, or what we're gonna do down the road. Because we use BSNA software, because it's so SQL heavy, they've already said moving to Azure is not gonna do you any good, because you're still gonna need to have that SQL server and it's the way it worked. So if you've read through my thing, you'll see I've got $30,000 that I'm gonna try to put in the budget for next year. And I'm gonna do a presentation for the department heads of using Teams, creating an intranet within Teams, and doing department build outs within the Teams environment, so that we can have cross-department collaborations, and instead of having 40 copies of one file out there that we don't know which one is the right one, we can say, this is where the collaboration space is, this is where the working files are, and hopefully, again, help with efficiencies within interdepartments, as well as just in the township as a whole. they may look at this and go, my gosh, that's not something we wanna do, in which case that $30,000 will be removed from my budget wish list, but I think it's something that it's moving forward. We have Adobe that we spend a lot of money on that we barely scratch the surface with. We have Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, the full Microsoft suite, we barely scratch the surface of it. So I would like to see if we can exploit that to where it actually works for the township and we can use more of it. So we'll see.
And cancel redundant.
And cancel redundant. We actually have found, we actually have 5 different form softwares. So it'd be kind of nice to start whittling that down to, these are the 2 that we're going to use, or this is the 1 that we're going to use. And then start moving off some of the other forms and rebuilding them to that standard.
And that's not unusual that we would have that many form software, only because of how we've operated sort of in, not really silos, but sort of in silos.
It's actually lateral, I think.
It's the same issue, Portage has the same issue, they've got every department keeping records and using different software for record retention, like, it's so different everywhere. I was shocked that there wasn't anything centralized, but I don't think we're that far off from being centralized.
No, we're not. I think for us, the hard part's just gonna say, this is the one we're gonna use, and have everybody go, okay.
Where I work right now, we also have a lot of different platforms to, have shared files and stuff too. And the one we mainly use, that I guess we would call it centralized, you can use the other ones are optional, but it's SharePoint. And love that. It's very easy.
Well, and what we're finding with the forms, and this is a little off topic, but we'll find a form and it's like, okay, who created it? What platform do they create it on? And who knows how to change it?
Right.
Well, that's not efficient. So let's pick a platform, stick with it, move everything to it, and move forward from there. So that's one of the things we're gonna be looking at. We're gonna investigate what kind of camera system we're gonna need to do for the new parking garage stuff. So that's just kind of a placeholder I put on there, because I know that there's gonna be a camera system that the sheriff's department's gonna want. What's it gonna be? Who's gonna access it? Is it gonna be cloud? Is it gonna be something we have here? So it's really a placeholder, just that it's something I'm gonna have to work on. We just don't know kind of where that's gonna go yet. And it's really gonna be driven by when the barn gets redone, reworked. But I'm assuming that's probably gonna be this year or next year. We are constantly looking at how we can improve our meeting spaces. This one, as well as the 2 other ones that we have. I would love to, one of the meeting rooms we don't have a TV in, I would love to put a TV in that room. Right now, in one of the rooms, we drag wires off the wall and plug into the laptops. I would like to make those all, like we have here wirelessly in this room with the click share. All that takes money, but when you have it, it takes time off my schedule, having to set it up for somebody, when we can just train them. You just plug this into your laptop, you click this, and you're casting to the TV. So, being a department of one, sometimes efficiencies we're looking for is just how can we help people do more stuff on their own so that they don't need me coming over to set it up. And then the last thing that we've kind of kicked around is evaluating what it would take to put some cameras in some of our more public spaces at some of our parks. Again, just to kind of keep an eye on our properties, protect our investment, people's investment of monies that are spent there. So if something were to happen there, we could pull something up and go, okay, this is what really happened out there. It's an idea that's been kicked around. We haven't really put a lot of thought into it yet, how we're gonna go there, but it was a request and we'll look into it. So that's my one-page spiel. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I have a question. IT in general, you had given the phones, I think, as an example. We've gone to wireless, is that what you said?
They're web-based.
Oh, okay, so are they still hardwired or?
So basically, it's a hosted system, so basically the outfit in Detroit that has it, so we do have physical phones at some desks that are hardwired to the network, or Most of us have a soft phone that's either on our laptop or on our cell phone, it's just an app.
Yeah, see, I have an app on my phone, so when it rings,
Oh, okay.
it rings right to my phone too.
I'm just curious, like, do you find it in IT in general that it, people are going to, or IT people are going to wireless? And what are the advantages of that versus wired equipment?
I will always push wired equipment, unless, it's all about bandwidth. If you're hardwired in, you're always gonna get better bandwidth, better quality, better everything. So if I had two computers here, one wirelessly and one plugged in, and I tried to pull up a GIS sketch, for example, the one that's wired is gonna have it pulled up probably 3 times faster than the one that's not. So it's really all about
Why is there such a push to go
speed.
wireless on everything? Do you, I mean, it's kind of a broad question.
What's everything?
It just seems like every pushes to go to
So-
wireless.
So
Why-
like for us, when we are working remote, wireless is perfect because we're just sending screenshots and keystrokes back and forth. So in that situation, it's absolutely perfect, it's fast, it's the best way to go.
You're doing a VPN, I assume, or
Yeah.
something like that?
We're doing
Dual
remote
mobile,
desktop
right.
using dual mobile, yeah.
That's right.
But if you're sitting in an office environment at your desk and you're actually hitting the server directly, wired is always the way to go as opposed to wireless.
Specifically with the phone systems, I can answer my desk phone on my laptop at home,
Oh, wow.
Or
Okay.
my,
your phone.
like my
Well,
extension.
And that's the idea is so when people have to work remote, Linda can still answer every phone call that comes in. She can forward to anybody that's working anywhere. I mean, Sherry can be on vacation and go, I'm available these hours while I'm on vacation, not that she would, but then she could have her phone app up and
I'm always available.
so that's what, it's hard to say, wireless is great depending on the application.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. It's kind of a broad question, but.
I would never in our bullpen over there, our offices, take people wirelessly. If I have a wired option, I'm always gonna use that. And maybe that's an old school way, but it's always gonna be faster, it's always gonna be more dependable. Because with a wireless situation, the more people you have on, the slower it's gonna
Overloaded,
get.
It's gonna
You'll-
become.
yep.
Okay. That's all I had.
Any other questions for John?
Are you staying for the rest of the meeting or are you leaving?
I'm gonna stay for part of it, make
Okay.
sure Vanessa stuff works fine.
Because the question is probably, might come back to you for an IT, but it's gonna be directed at a different department.
No, I plan on sticking around for a little while.
Well, I just want to comment for the board on a couple of things. So thank you for generating that number of tickets that we talked about last year and continued through this year. And I think 80% is probably a generous number because I broke the rule today. I asked them to put something on the website for me and I sent it via Teams. So, and anyone that works in the office knows that when John's walking around, it's like, hey, can you come do this for me? So, thank you for getting that up and rolling because I think it's important to evaluate, where your time's spent. And then I think the next level of data is, kind of more like, are there certain types of IT requests that require more times than other, or identifying repeated problems that maybe we need to pick a different direction?
So in February, we added department fields and type of call field. So is it a hardware problem? Is it a software problem? Is it an end user problem? Is it, so I can actually categorize the calls as I'm doing them. So that in theory, we will be able to go back and say, okay, how many of the calls are hardware? How many are software? How many are
The fire department?
how many are fire department, how many are planning? So I did do a quick look over and the highest volume calls are out of the building department and out of the supervisor's office. And so,
Use the system mostly.
but we're gonna say supervisor's office because supervisor's office
Oh.
encompasses Alan's group. We don't have a department set up for them.
And building?
And Linda.
Mm.
No, building has its own, I do have that, but in
Oh, does it?
Linda and Karen,
Oh, Sarah.
and, no, we do have one for HR. So, but supervisor's office is grouped into, there's, you know, half a dozen people that are grouped into that, it's not just
Oh, so
the
it's not just
supervisor,
me.
yeah.
Feel a
Made you
little
sound real
better.
bad there for a second.
But they were both had 37 calls of that 500 some, so.
I also want to comment and compliment launching the staff IT training. So the intent is that we have an every other month department head meetings, and we won't use all of them for IT training, but some of them for IT training, and then those trainings go to the department heads. They're recorded so that the department heads can then go back and assign watching those videos for that training as deemed necessary for their department, instead of taking up an entire township meeting for that. So first one went pretty well. I definitely learned some things about Adobe I didn't know, so that was good. So I'm glad that that is off and running. Thanks, John.
I'd like to point out the fire department does not stop him on his route.
He's in your office. I know you stop him constantly.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
Stop me, they just go,
double that ticket number.
Well, so do I, but then I go in afterwards when he's done and
Well,
fixed it and
you
do the
have to
ticket
remind
anyway.
yourself to put it in so he gets credit.
the chief put 2 in just this week.
Of the
I'll put mine
75
in
times you were in his
tomorrow.
office.
One big problem.
All right, next up, our Fine Human Resources Director, Sarah Feaster.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so accomplishments for 2024, facilitated and administered the 2024 performance review process. You have these with you, right? Okay, all right. And then the tasks for that include preparing the forms, preparing drafts of completed forms, and working with the department heads to meet the deadlines and making necessary compensation adjustments. We adjusted the compensation with respect to COLA in 2024. As a reminder, we did an across the board 5% for 2024. Did something different this year. Facilitated and administered the 2024 open enrollment in November 2024 and assisted all the employees to complete by the deadline. I did want to call out that this is the 5th year in a row that we've completed by the deadline, which is pretty cool in the HR world if we can get everyone through it. So tasks can include meeting with NOLC to discuss the plan options, recommending plan options to the board, educating staff, and following up with staff to complete that open enrollment. I served as the chairperson of the safety committee. We meet monthly to discuss safety concerns and suggested improvements. Completed staffing activities to fill 16 positions in 2024. You'll see that bullet point in 2025 and 2026 as well. And then page 3 and 4 of this document is more detailed information on those positions staffed and also some turnover data for you. Filling a position isn't just as simple as filling a position. Reviewing the job description, recommending any changes, researching compensation, posting the position, and communicating with candidates, reviewing candidates, interview questions, interviews, drafting job offers, pre-screen activities, and onboarding. So it's quite a process from start to finish to fill a position. We rolled out the new HRIS system, ADP, and we trained all the employees on how to use that. Worked with Siegel to complete the 2024 compensation study. I served on the Sunshine Fund Committee, Safety Committee, and the HR Board Work Group. Planned, scheduled, and led the monthly staff meetings. Completed the compensation and benefits budget. We rolled out that new compensation policy in late 2024 with an effective date of 1/1/25. It's off and rolling. I served as the 2024 Kalamazoo Human Resources Management Association Vice President. So attended those CARMA meetings for networking opportunities and professional development. Also attended the Michigan Public Employers Labor Relations Association meetings. That's relevant for public sector specifically, so that one is particularly important. And completed my recertifications for my PHR certification with HRCI for 2024. For 2025, working through staffing activities for 10 additional positions. Anna pointed out that actually should be 11. I forgot the GIS specialist, that's still open. Apologies.
Daggone it, I thought.
I haven't actually forgotten, I just did not put it on this list. So that is actually open, so that number will change to 11 and then we'll have 3 open positions.
It's not new positions, some of those are new, some
That's a
of those
backfill.
are refill,
Yeah.
people that moved on. Okay, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure we understand that.
Say I wasn't sure.
So far of those 11 positions, we've filled 8 this year, so pretty excited about that. Working through our next steps on the Siegel data, more information on that to come very soon. Working through an audit of the job descriptions and the employment classifications with respect to the FLSA requirements. Roll out a couple new benefits that I'm still really excited about. So we rolled out the dependent care flexible spending account with employer funding for the child care reimbursement or dependent care reimbursement. Worked with the township board to increase that match for the Greenleaf Trust retirement account from 4% to 6%. Very well received, both of those were. And utilized, so meaningful for the staff to make those changes. We're continuing to incorporate the new HRIS system, ADP, and explore all the available tools. We've started using the recruitment platform. It's great. I love it. It's making my job a lot easier. And slowly moving benefits into the rotation of that. So that's the next one to go. We're gonna do open enrollment through the benefits platform this year. I think it'll go a lot better. Completing the compensation and benefits budget for 2026. Worked through the new Earned Sick Time Act, ESTA requirements, and revised our policies to bring the township to full compliance ahead of the deadline. And a lot of work went into that to make sure that we were meeting the requirements, and I collaborated with a lot of our neighboring municipalities for consistency, so I appreciated that opportunity to talk with them. Stay informed of changing labor law to ensure we're in full compliance through work with the legal department. Worked with the Sunshine Fund Committee to plan employee engagement activities, including potlucks. Facilitated the employee apparel program and processed payroll deductions. This program has been very well received and we will continue to offer that. Yep. I love seeing the apparel around the office. It's great, so do like that. Reevaluate and revise the performance review process. Not that it's not okay how it is, I just think there's always opportunity to improve on that. So we'll keep looking at that. Administer and facilitate the open enrollment process that will start in 2025 for the staff. Work on that will begin probably late summer for my office. Hired and onboarded a full-time human resources coordinator to assist with the HR department responsibilities. Alexis, she's doing great. It's been a huge help for me, especially with all the positions that we've staffed this year. So very excited to have that position in place. Working through necessary handbook revisions with assistance from the township board and the legal department. We're in process of completing the negotiation activities for the firefighters union, very close to wrapping those up and super excited about that. It's very time consuming, a lot of work, a lot of meetings, but I think we're in a very good place with that. So that will be coming to you to review pretty soon. I'm serving as the 2025 Kalamazoo Human Resources Association President-elect this year. And then we'll continue to develop written policies and procedures, SOPs, to guide standard of work and consistency of processes. And then continuing to take advantage of local professional development opportunities in the area. So visions for 2026. We made some significant changes in the HR department over the last couple of years, implementing the new HR system, hiring a new coordinator, changing some benefits. So 2026, I really want to focus on retention and employee engagement. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of new positions to fill. I don't anticipate maybe a couple, but I think that there's an opportunity for 2026 to focus on our current staff and just making sure this is the best place to work that we can. So of course, continuing to explore benefit offerings and providers to make sure that we're offering the best benefit package that we can. Next year will be my president year for Karma, so excited about that. I definitely wanna focus on formalizing and improving the onboarding process. I think that we're doing good with that now, but there's opportunity for us to onboard, have it more consistent and streamlined, so, Alexis's help with that has been great. Develop and implement a monthly training program regimen with help from the safety committee, and then communicate with neighboring municipalities for collaboration opportunities. So John had talked about doing IT training, this would be separate from that, this would be more safety related, required trainings from OSHA, so making, a monthly consistent training program, I think is definitely important. Develop and implement effective retention strategies that enhance the employee satisfaction and reduce turnover. Provide comprehensive professional development opportunities that support continuous learning and career growth. Evaluate the internal culture to ensure it reflects organizational values and promotes a positive, inclusive work environment. Increase employee engagement through meaningful activities that foster connection, recognition, and collaboration. And then explore DEI initiatives. So all of those things, I think, contribute to that retention strategy, culture, focus on that. That's what I have for you. And then the page 3 and 4, as I had mentioned, this is detailed staffing information. So these pie charts here show the positions that we've staffed in 2024 and 2025 and open positions, and then goes over turnover information as well. And then the last page breaks that down so you can see which positions were filled, how many new positions we had, and what positions we backfilled. Questions? Comments?
Appreciate you, thank you.
So my question is, what the connection with John might be a connection with John. So in ADP, you know, we have a place for policies and procedures, but trustees don't have access to that.
Okay.
Is there a way for us to have it, so when Dusty refers to the purchasing policy, you know, we can actually see
The
it?
employee handbook's in there right now.
Is it?
It is in there, however, we haven't, it's kind of a soft launch of that, so we're still using the paper copy of the handbook for now. That's another one of those
Okay.
functionalities that I haven't fully moved everything to. But we did talk about that a bit, and we wanna keep a paper copy of the handbook regardless if ADP fails.
Yeah, and by paper copy, not actual paper, but a file
A
rather
file,
than a
yeah.
T-drive.
But I don't know whether we would have access to that.
You should
No,
have.
you wouldn't,
Yeah.
but through ADP.
Right.
Right, yes.
But we could put them, I mean, I've been sharing stuff with the board through OneDrive. I mean, I think we could put the
We
policies.
could put a policies folder on OneDrive.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could definitely do that. I'll make a note to do that.
And we can use ADP for that stuff too. There's definitely functionality within it to house those things.
Yeah, I didn't know, like, when Sherry was sending us the AGVs, you know, you were asking us to connect to OneDrive or whatever, you know, which was fine, but it always seemed like Sherry's granted you permission to this versus like maybe on ADP, it was like you have permission to look at a policy versus someone has to tell you you can look at this specific one or something.
So two separate platforms, right?
Right.
So I think in order to get what you're asking for on ADP is gonna be longer and more work for Sarah and the HR department. And I'm saying in 3 minutes, I can put the policies on a OneDrive link and share it with you. And so your idea to have it available on ADP, good idea. But that, I mean, that could be a while before she gets to it, where I could share that with you. And I do limit, like, you know, you can't edit it, like, I know I limit what, I'm not even sure if you can download it, can you download it?
Yeah.
You can, okay, cause you can, you know, you
It's like
can limit
download all
access, but, I mean, that's definitely something I had not even thought of.
And I only brought up ADP because that's the only thing I have access
Yes.
to.
So
it's like,
ADP
okay, it's there.
Do
versus
trustees not
if-
have access to OneDrive?
They, as you grant them access, they do through their email address. Yeah, so if you're sending them OneDrive links.
Oh, it's not?
No, and that's where I was,
Oh.
what there was.
John got
or
interested.
Whoever, yeah.
So ADP is a employee self-service platform, that's really what it is. So the intention is to have everything, not everything, but most things accessible on ADP. So there's not going to 50 different places to find something, especially the policies and procedures. We can keep hard copies of them too, but keeping them.
So
up there.
I'm not very familiar with OneDrive yet. I look forward to the opportunities of training for OneDrive that John is going to provide.
Yeah.
Because the concept is appealing to me and how we've used it so far has been really well done. But like, I get messed up, if I lose the link that Sherry sent me, I know that all I have to do is go into Teams and I can access my OneDrive through Teams. And that is the only way, as of today, that I know how to access it. I can probably also still access it through Outlook, but never done it. I don't really know how. So my question is for trustees, if they lose the link, how easy is it for them to get back to the OneDrive link?
So I didn't even
Anna,
know.
was it you that I went into your office and was like, give me a 5-minute tutorial on OneDrive? Or was it you? I went into somebody's office who I know uses that platform and I'm like, give me a 5-minute tutorial.
Wait, but that wasn't the purpose of what I said. The
No, I
purpose is,
know.
once they lose the link, how do they get back to it? I don't know. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Eric, it
well,
looks
it's in
like I'm
the
looking at you,
email.
but I'm looking at John behind
It's in
you.
the email, but if we delete the, like, I didn't even know we used it until you said that to me this morning.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't even know where that's at.
You have to keep the link. I love OneDrive. We're using
Where for
it even more.
ADP, he knows his own login and can get in and.
Yeah, and that's the thing with ADP, it's really there
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
versus, okay, well, I know ADP, but now I have to learn and remember this other system now. How often am I gonna look at that policy,
Right.
you know, whatever, it's like, oh, how did I get there and
Yeah.
what was that link?
I
Sure.
would be in favor
know.
of putting our policies on ADP. I
That,
think
that's
it's a-
great. So OneDrive has editing, like it has you can edit things on OneDrive, can't do that on ADP, so it's really just
And I don't
read only.
have-
But yeah, I mean, that would be my goal, is to fully transition everything over to ADP for the staff, so they know where to go to find something, for sure. And that would include you as well. When I say staff, I mean everyone with access to ADP.
So ADP is what my current employer uses, and it has incredible capabilities.
Yes.
Videos to documents, I mean, it really does have, but, you know, it takes time to get all of those things going, and they're a corporation. So, you know, I would never expect you to be able to just wave a magic wand, because it is a complicated system.
Well, I do expect that.
But you know what? I will say one thing about ADP is they are responsive. So if I have an issue, they're getting back to me pretty quickly. So we're working through something with general ledger stuff
I was
right
really
now.
nervous that they weren't going to be, so I'm glad.
Oh, no, they're
that
good.
were.
They're, yep, they've already
I mean, because our
kind of reached out.
implementation wasn't great, so.
Yeah, it was a struggle, and you know, everything is, when you change a system so drastically like that, you expected there to be road bumps.
And I was dragging my feet
It
hard.
was a lot. It was a big undertaking.
I wasn't going quietly.
So in other words, you jumped in with both feet to help the process move forward?
But we got there, you know what? It's been over a year now that we've been fully transitioned over to it. And some people, you know, like it more than others. Sometimes people don't like it.
I like it. I mean, as much as I joke, it was just, in the first couple
Yeah.
months, it was so easy to go, let's just go back to BSNA.
Yeah, I know.
I know that, I'm comfortable with it, it's a terrible program, I know all the ins and outs, I know the
Yeah.
tricks.
Are we talking about BSNA?
Yeah.
Having 4-hour meetings when they're saying words and you're like, I have no idea what you're
just don't know
saying
what
to
you're
me right now. So, but I am super happy that we moved over to that, and I think the staff has definitely
Are you doing less manual entry of time cards?
100%.
Right there.
Payroll is taking me less time than it did with BSNA, and there's a way more functionality with ADP on traceability of why we did this, why we did that. So
Which came in handy recently,
yes,
so.
it's great. It's very good. It's been working. It's been serving the purpose that it was intended to serve, and I'm excited to explore the rest of the functionality.
Yeah, we had to let some people know that they were responsible for their own time cards if they expected to get paid.
We have the same system, and I was able to document when the provider was there, when they weren't, and that helped with a very distinct legal issue that came up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it allows that, and it's pretty easy payroll.
Yeah, it is.
Just 10 years ago, we had 2 part-time HR people. And before that, we had 1 part-time HR person. They weren't hiring 11 people, that's for sure, so I know it's gotten incredibly busy.
It has, and that just is a testament to the township and our growth, really, it is. Because when I look at those numbers, it's surprising to me looking at that and saying, whoa, all that happened last year?
But I think also, the one thing I've noted most recently is the number of candidates that are applying for positions at the township and the quality of candidates is remarkable.
And we're getting a lot of repeat
people applying for different positions. If they didn't make it through one, they're applying for other positions, which I think is great. I love seeing this duplicate names coming through because it really shows that it's not just, it's about working for the township. So,
On that note, I'm curious, how do we evaluate the company culture and employee satisfaction? Do you send out surveys to the full-time?
we haven't done anything like that yet, but me and Alexis are certainly focusing on what are some things that other organizations do to evaluate culture, what are some initiatives, strategies they have for culture change. So I don't have a good answer for you on that yet, because we haven't really focused on that too much. But certainly that's the focus in 2026 is developing tools and possibly metrics.
Right now, you just kind of hover outside offices.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, we definitely have a
Keep my ear to
culture
the
problem.
ground.
There's a lot of
Cameras come
infighting.
in and all the offices, yeah.
I think that if you, personally, if you were to come into the office on a weekday when everybody's here and working, it's a very positive
You can tell.
environment out there, yeah. There's a lot of conversations taking place, people are friendly with each other and they're developing relationships just internally, which
Good vibes.
a lot of good vibes, and I think everybody that I talk to personally really enjoys working here. So I'm happy about that, and I love our staff. I want to keep them, and so that's why in 2026 I'd love to figure out how to make it the best place for them.
Well, I've been thrilled with the work that you've done. I've appreciated that you've helped address issues that, I had with having two occupations or whatever, an ADP at the beginning and trying to figure out why that didn't work and, including us in employee purchasing of,
Oh, the apparel, yeah, yeah.
Apparel, that was the word I was looking for. I'm like, because it's more than just apparel. But anyway, yeah, that stuff and the potlucks and everything, I really appreciated you being, creating that inclusive environment for all of us.
I love it.
Any other questions for Sarah? All right,
Thank you.
yeah, John?
Can I speak to the one thing that Neil was talking
Uh-oh.
about?
Sure.
So, what Sherry says is great, if you share your OneDrive link or an item within your OneDrive, that's all well and good. What we've found is when people leave and that OneDrive is no longer available, or we pull the data off and put it somewhere else, then people no longer have access to that as well. So the idea will be here with this intranet is we'll create a space that will be public or trustee or whatever we want to call it, so that we'll have a singular location that we can put stuff that we want everybody to have access to, and it won't change depending on who leaves. We'll just need to make sure it stays updated. So you'll use just your Microsoft credentials that you currently have to access that intranet, to have access to that. So we'll.
Well,
work
that's
with
if
it.
we wanna go that way,
That's
because,
if we wanna go that way, that would be one of the benefits of it though, is it'll be a space that we can easily put stuff for trustees or just the normal stuff that township employees would use. Instead of having to go find it on the OneDrive, they could just go to the intranet and find it there. So that's one of the reasons we're looking at this, is how, again, that's another efficiencies that we could help you guys. If you're like, I really would like to see that policy, I could just log in and look at that.
Yeah,
That's all I got to say.
appreciate
We're
it.
getting there. We're getting fancy. Okay, next up, Director Vanessa Street in our Parks Department.
I'm gonna be fancy and I made a slideshow, so, you know.
Vanessa, do you want me to click for you and you sit up here?
Nah.
Did you
She's
want,
like,
did you want that
no.
question again?
not even,
Oh, just because I think I'm gonna go back and forth a lot and I just wanna. Okay, so you all have like a hard copy of my EGDs, which has accomplishments. And then the goals, which have a checkbox on the ones that were completed, and then the vision for next year. But I don't like to read off those things, and Sherry actually suggested that I do a presentation, so here we are. I'll try to keep it to the
I
20 minutes.
suggested it to
since that's no
everyone.
pressure.
It wasn't required.
Hey Vanessa,
What?
you're gonna talk to the person that's sitting in that back corner.
Okay, so I gotta talk loud?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, first we're gonna start off with individual parks. Drake Farmstead is first. I put a nice fall picture up right ahead, because I know we're all in this heat wave, and doesn't that look nice? Some accomplishments that we completed in '24, this project was the kitchenette. It spanned from the end of '23 to the beginning of '24. This is a new feature for the Drake Farmstead Carriage Barn. It's a rental facility that we have. So this kitchenette was added in, and this has, I think, been a huge draw for increasing rentals of that facility, to have a sink and a mini fridge. And then there's also a microwave tucked into one of those cabinets, and mops and brooms, things like that. This facility doesn't have any storage closets, so it's also helping us with keeping cleaning stuff tucked away instead of piled up in the corner. I want to remind the board, I think I had this on my last AGVs, but this project, there was community businesses involved, so Kirschman Kitchens and Design Studio provided the cabinets at cost, and then Pennings and Sons did the installation for free. So that was all something that the previous parks director had lined up, and then I just executed it. So it's a wonderful addition. This is our master plan. Drake Farmstead and Fletcher Field have specific master plans that are separate from our 5-year parks plans. So that's where these improvements come from. It's kind of building on this completion of features to our parks. This is the entire master plan. This is a smaller honed in view. If you look at the red box around 11, that is where we added an additional parking lot this year. So there's now a parking lot that exits out towards the Croydon exit drive, which has doubled our number of parking spots that we have, which has always been kind of a problem with holding our own events there, as well as using it as a rental facility for larger parties. So this has increased that for us as well. This year we had the entrance drive regraded and 75 yards of fill brought in, so that the entrance drive is now smooth and also recrowned, so the water will flow off of it again. We're gonna have to build that in and do that every couple of years. Whoops. How do I go back? Okay. Also at the front entrance of Drake Farmstead, there's a gate. And one of my visions for next year is to add gates to that additional parking lot that I just showed. We also have some people that like to kind of do donuts in the park. That's the reason that we get a lot of our wear and tear on those gravel lots. So adding gates that we can open when we have our own facility events and then rental events and things like that, but then closing it because there is enough spots. There's 26 spots in the original parking lot, just to cut down on areas that get kind of misused. One of my goals for this year is to rebuild the cupola. That was on top of the original carriage barn that our current carriage barn is a replica of. It was taken off, and the first picture was like 5 years ago, and the second picture was 2 days ago, and it's significantly leaning. I'm working with OHS and a volunteer from their organization to help rebuild that. My plan and my vision would be in this master plan, the orange box around number 2 has adding a gazebo and like historic garden area. I would like to put it on top of that gazebo. The carriage barn currently has a metal roof, and so it's not gonna go up there in any appropriate way. So that's my plan for that in the next. I do also want to point out that another vision was number 7, which is around the blue box, is adding accessible parking spots. It's great that we have all these new parking areas, but we really should have a few paved spots that are within walking distance to the carriage barn and have van accessible parking as well. So those are kind of the 3 visions moving forward at Drake. This year is one of our goals, which we haven't completed, but we're probably gonna wait until the fall, is to update the landscaping around our front entrance sign, try to make the entrance a little more inviting. I hear a lot that people don't know it's a park, they don't know if they should be there. They're kind of confused with what the use is of it, so opening that up and making it a little more inviting will kind of give a benefit. One project that Maintenance Director Greg Fountain and I have been working on is behind the house. Well, number 1, one of our AGVs was to install a generator so that there was power in the need of power outages, especially because the house has a lot of artifacts and kind of temperature sensitive pieces, but also a generator for the carriage barn so that the carriage barn could eventually possibly be a polling place. But before we can put that generator in, the left picture shows the backside of the Drake farmstead, so this faces the north and the west. The picture on the right is honed in on that little nook in between those two doors that are there, and there's erosion problems. The roof, there's no gutters on this house, and so the water just of those two roof lines comes and pools right down there. So before we put a generator in, we're gonna have that area regraded, sloped away, and then put some vegetation to slow the impact of the rain and the water in there because it's damaging the foundation of the house. So it kind of, once we started looking at it, it became more of a ball of yarn that we were like, well, before we put a generator in, let's level out this area. So that's kind of been something we haven't finished this year, but I think we can get to it. Feel free to stop me at all if you have questions. I do want to point out that volunteers make a lot of things happen in our parks. So this was a garlic mustard pole event that we had at Drake. It was in the month of April, so highlighting Earth Week. Right before we had a wildflower walk, we did a lot of work on our trails. We host bi-weekly volunteer sessions, so every other Friday, and in 2024, we expanded those locations to include Township Park and Drake Farmstead. Originally, when they were created, it was Fletcher Field and Fruit Belt. To try to maintain that new property acquisition of Fruit Belt, we needed volunteers to help with that. But since then, we've expanded on it, and now their volunteers are helping at all of our parks. So we rotate every 3 months back to a park, so we've been rotating around. In 2024, we had over 250 hours spent in parks for volunteer efforts with over 25 dates of volunteer sessions. I think that's really speaks well to our following of volunteers and how much time they dedicate to keeping our parks beautiful and walkable. The main part of our volunteer efforts is removing invasive species and keeping our trails open. It's like as soon as you turn around, like if you're at Fletcher and you do all those trails and then you go to Township Park and you do those and you go to Drake, you go back to Fletcher and they've closed in. So we're trying to rotate on a impactful basis so that we don't have those problems. So it's an ongoing effort, but we've been really expanding our volunteers and our volunteer reach. We've been getting more larger groups coming, like Advia Credit Union, for example, will send 5 or 6 people at once. So we're starting to grow a base, and we're using social media from the Oshtemo Friends of the Parks page to kind of continue to drive those efforts.
Wish I could get them to come to my house and weed. No, seriously.
Next, we move to Fletcher Field. This is our Fletcher Field master plan, just showing you the whole facility. This is a honed-in picture just to show you the area on the bottom, in the red box. That is this area that is between. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Oh, yeah.
you. We can hear you.
Am I yelling? Is it bad?
No.
No, you're
No
not.
sense of depth of voice.
It's perfect.
All right. So this native planting area had kind of 3 purposes. Number 1, reduction of mowing. So it's about 25 feet wide by 400 feet in length, and it spans that bottom box that goes from 9th Street over to our wooded lot. Now, the goals were to 1, create less mowing, 2, pollinator habitat, and 3, create a visual buffer, a more natural visual buffer between us and our neighboring funeral home that's just next door. Believe it or not, people will drive in their parking lot and just go to the field for their kid's soccer game and not come in through our park and go onto our parking lot. They just drive. Like, you got lacrosse, I got a truck, we're gonna go through here. So we're trying to create that without having to do a fence or something like ugly. So this is the first year that it has grown up, and it's probably, I don't know, 2.5 feet tall now, and it's supposed to be a tall grass planting with pockets of wildflowers and like perennials. So it's working. The first year we weren't so sure, but I think next year it's gonna be even more impactful and it will be a nice visual buffer. Also at Fletcher Field, we have the Music in the Park concerts. In 2024, we had 1,120 visitors come to our concerts. Part of our volunteer work is counting how many people come, just so we can find out, if our concerts are successful. And we also administer surveys. So when you're leaving, we have volunteers at clipboards trying to get surveys. How'd you hear about us? What bands do you want to hear? What would be nice if you had here? So we're always gaining that impact. That's another thing volunteers do behind the scenes. Let's see. In 2025, I'll speak about, these pictures are for 2024. But in 2025, we actually lost our funding from the Michigan Arts and Cultural Council, who have been previous supporters for 9 years. Oh, maybe not 9 years. We've been doing 9 years of Music in the Park, but I think they came on maybe a couple years in. But either way, we lost that funding opportunity. I applied and we were not accepted. And so I had to pivot and I wrote a grant for the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation and was able to recoup those funds and just roll it right back in and keep it moving. So we gained an additional financial supporter through grant funding, and then we also gained 2 additional sponsors on the local business level, totaling $9,650 of grants and sponsorships for our music programs, which majority of it covers the band cost and the sound technician, which is a significant, cost to that. The rest of it is postcards that we mail out and flyers we post, printing, things like that. So I think it's going well. It turned out pretty well last year. This year we had 1 concert so far. It was a bit warm on Sunday. I made everyone still go and come, so sorry.
How do you find the bands? I mean,
How do we decide them?
how do you find them?
Yeah, we have a planning committee, like a subcommittee of the Friends of the Parks Board. A few members kind of join up just to select the band. So a lot of it comes recently from the Arts Council of Kalamazoo. We are part of their countywide arts program where there's music in outdoor venues. And
So they have a list, basically.
they have a list. But then we do a lot of internal work where some Friends of the Park members go out to music events around town and kind of scope them out first. So it's kind of a process of selecting our bands. We usually try to pick one band that's more expensive and maybe more like common covers, more, everybody knows the songs. And then we pick 2 other bands that are either a different genre of music or less following but more local. We try to support up and coming bands too. So we try to pick a mix between, like a attractive, heavy hitting band and then supporting other bands and artists that are local specifically to Kalamazoo.
Do you find that the audience changes depending on the band, or do you find it's just the same people that come no matter who's playing?
It's the number of people changes band to band, but it's kind of the same demographic, and that's the thing that we've been trying to kind of improve on. Not a lot of kids come, not a lot of families come. It's usually couples that are older, and which is great, but it's like, how can we then expand on it?
Yeah.
So it is Sunday night, it's 6 o'clock. It's in the middle of summer, so it's also like, there's tons of things going on, people are traveling, like we know all those things, but the Rotary has come the last 2 years and sold popcorn and water, which has been good. We've talked about doing like additional features, like the library would come with their mobile book truck. What's it called?
Bookmobile.
Bookmobile. Book truck.
That's a book truck.
I'm gonna be in the book truck. No, you're
It's
not.
also an hour-and-a-half concert, so it's like the more we do, like we've talked about food trucks too, but with an hour-and-a-half concert and you're in line for 25 minutes, by the time you get here, it's like usually so the popcorn and water are kind of an easy food item that doesn't take a lot of, I was in the parking lot waiting for my burrito the whole show, and then also where they get a park and all this type of stuff, so they're working well, but we're always looking for ways to improve. So this is a project we've been working on, mostly with Friends of the Parks, but also internally with the Parks Committee. A trail marking system that will be for Fletcher Field, Drake Farmstead, and Township Park. This is kind of where we got our idea from it. This is the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy's map. So it shows the trails, it will show the types of trails, so if they are accessible, are they paved? Is there elevation changes? It has the contour lines on it, and also then they color code them to show, you know, you're gonna go on the orange loop and it's gonna be X amount of miles, so you know what you're doing. This isn't finalized yet. Obviously, the stuff up in the corner is not done. I just pulled this off today, but we wanna do this for our parks. So this is the wooded lot at Fletcher Field. So we would have the green, have a sign that says the green one is 0.87 miles, wooded, wood chip trails, no pavement, no elevation changes, and just highlight those items so that, number one, we want to decrease the response time from the fire department. Sometimes there's confusion on which trails you're at. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm at, they think Fletcher Field is Township Park, it's the Township Park, but it's not Township Park. And so when they call and they say, hey, I'm stuck, I fell over, I need help, then it helps them respond quicker because we are going to install these markers, which each park will have different colors, but also they will have the letter on it. So D is for Drake Farmstead, and then they'll have 1, 2, and 3, or 3, 4, and 5. We're still working those out. So if somebody is colorblind, visually impaired, they can still say, I'm at this park, I see a D on a marker, we know it's that park. And then internally, Parks Department and Fire Department will have copies of these maps. So if they say I'm on a green trail, there's F green, that's at Fletcher. Like that they can get there faster, which is our main goal. But the other goal is to encourage trail use just by being more comfortable, by seeing a map and going, oh, that's half a mile. I can do that on my lunch break. I see tons of people walking the paved loops at Fletcher and the paved loops here and on their lunch breaks. And I'm like, why don't you go in the shade? There's a whole wooded lot. But it seems overwhelming because there's no sort of opening, no sort of welcoming kiosk. So, this is what we'll do on trails that don't have, like through Drake, it goes through the prairie, and if they don't have trees to put the markers on, they'll go on 4x4 posts. But this is what we want to get to at the end result, is having a kiosk or a map area that's big and significant at the opening of our Fletcher Field trails behind the wiffle ball fields. So you are like, oh, there's a map over there, let me go look. And then it shows you all the trails, it shows you the distances, the elevation changes. And then we can put these on our website too, so that they're posted at all of our trail entrance heads. And then we'll do the same thing in our other parks. So we're just trying to increase usership of natural areas. We're trying to get people out of the parking lot paved areas and into the wooded lots. These are my children, they're paid actors.
That'll be in your budget next year.
You'll see them a lot in this presentation. Fruit Belt Rail Trail. I'm making a push in my own mind to call it the Fruit Belt Rail Trail because I always just say Fruit Belt and Fruit Belt Trail, and it's in our publications as Fruit Belt Rail Trail. So I encourage you also, as we develop this trail and it goes out into the media, and all of our Parks Committee members and Township Board members and everyone is calling it the Fruit Belt Rail Trail. Just wanna, it's really hard for me to do that. So maybe if you guys do it, I'll stop, or I'll start. This is our master plan for Fruit Belt. It's really tiny, so if you want a copy of this, let me know. It starts at Erie Street behind Fletcher Field off of 9th Street, and it heads west, and it crosses 6th Street, and then continues on to the township border. These are those little 2 bump outs, a little bit bigger. The photo on the left is a parking lot, 4-car parking lot that will be at 6th Street as a trailhead with like a map, informational signage, porta potty, and garbage cans. The picture on the right is the lot, 19-car lot that will go at the Erie entrance that will have a larger covered kiosk with a tactile map that is 3D, so that if you have visual impairment, you can see the trail. Not only because this used to be an old rail trail, so it is cut and fill, so to make it flat, if they ever came across an area, they would just cut that out and put that fill in the next spot to keep it going flat. So some of the trail has slopes downwards, and some of them have like berms going up. So if you are visually impaired and you want to know which areas are significant drop downs and which areas have the edges of the berm, you can tell that. Also, it provides a piece of history, so on this map, we will have old photos of when it was a railroad and highlight why has those slope differences, just to kind of be like informational as well. Also, in this little area at this 19-car parking lot, we were having a bike repair station, benches, and trash cans and wayfinding signs. So it'll kind of be like a little trailhead hub. Picture on the left is Fruit Belt 2 years ago. Very narrow, very hard for us to manage, very hard for us to mow, because as it grows over, if there's a stump there that we don't know, or if there's a rock that damages our equipment, and it sometimes can be unsafe for the mower. So we use our volunteer hours to cut back as much as we can, so that when they come to mow, they're not hitting those obstacles that you can't see just because the vegetation has taken over. The picture on the right is what it is now, today. That was taken like a couple days ago. So that is after Consumers has done their work. We are so fortunate that they cleared all those trees, about 75% of the trail, because that was a significant part of our budget for this project. So even with rising costs and uncertainties on supply chain,
Don't say it out loud.
I'm going to say I think we will be in budget. I'm not saying I think we'll be significantly under, I just think this is gonna like help us out. Couple of pictures along the way of the Consumers Energy 12-inch gas line installation. This is kind of what it's looked like for a while now. But they ran into a lot of problems trying to bore. This line is bored in and there was a lot of giant rocks and things, so that slowed it up. Another thing that slowed it up was the attention that we required that they make to the Japanese knotweed that is on the property. So there's a few significant patches, and that is a highly invasive plant that if it is disturbed, it duplicates many times over. It's really difficult to get rid of. We have Kalamazoo County's Conservation District spray those two areas several times a year, and it still just comes back with a force, and anytime you disturb it, it gets worse. So we had significant requirements from Consumers to go 20 feet around those patches, do not go under those patches, which made them change their line scope. But they adhered to all of them, so there along the trail there's these areas of the orange fence that was pointing out areas to them for them to be conscious of that. So that is one of the things that also took a long time with negotiations with Consumers, is because we really just wanted them to be conscious of the work that we're trying to fix, and if they come in and just make it worse, then it ends up being more problem for the township. So they met all of our requirements, and I'm pretty, I feel pretty positive that we worked together well with them as an entity to get this solved. It took a long time, but. Okay, Oshtemo Township Park. How am I doing on time? This year we got new trash barrels. The old ones are hard to empty. There's constantly critters in them. The rain falls in, you get trash water, so you'll see all these new updated trash receptacles at our parks. We replaced the tall ropes climber, same style, different colors, but it's a major attraction at the park and it was wearing out, and so that was replaced last year. We got a new entrance sign, and this time we changed to Township Park as opposed to Park, because we're trying to, people call all the time and say, what's that park behind the township? I say, it's Township Park. So we're trying to rebrand it on all of our media and stuff and calling it Oshtemo Township Park instead of the park behind the township. That's always kind of been like a sticking point where we're trying to highlight that this has an official name. Goals for, visions for next year is basketball courts. The picture on the left has a nice paved access way from the driveway parking lot. The picture on the right didn't get paved and it's a washout area, so I want to add another walking path from the parking lot to that area. It's a big trip hazard. It's just not working for us, so that's one of the improvements. And then the other one is disc golf course improvements. So our tee pads have a lot of broken retaining walls, but also they suffer from a lot of erosion problems as well. A lot of washout happens. Most of the time, we're able to kind of divert it around, but it's becoming a problem that we need to figure something out. So on my vision is course improvements for erosion and improving the retaining walls around the T-pads. This is kind of why I did the photos too, because it's like if I just tell you we need T-pad erosion problems, it's like,
What does that mean? Yeah.
Oh, also a T-pad is where you tee off on disc golf. I don't know, somebody asked me that today and I was like, I should probably explain that. But there's short tees and long tees. So a lot of times when the erosion washouts happen, the leagues that we have and the tournaments that we host just play from the short tee instead of the long, or the long instead of the short. But really, we should have access to both of those and make them suitable for play. The trash barrels at Township Park Disc Golf Course are not very effective to empty. It's tricky with just one person. You gotta pick that whole bag up off of it. And the bottoms of them are eroding out, like rusting out from being on the ground. So if we're gonna stay with a cherry barrel style, which is okay, I would like to put them on cement pads so that they are not just becoming one with the earth and sticking your hand under there and trying to pick it up and tip it out. So our staff isn't emptying them as often as they could because they're a pain. They're really hard to do, and it takes two people, and to send two people out to do that is challenging too. In this assessment, I think we're gonna excuse me, reduce the number of trash cans from 18 to 9, just go every other hole, or where holes back up to each other, put one in between. So if it's like you know, so that 18 of them is also really tricky to try to manage. So a lot of improvements at Township Park. I also put in my vision like a forest management plan that might help this whole problem. If you look at the property as a forest management plan, that is where erosion comes into play. So yes, we want to fix the T-pads, but if we zoom out and look at the health of the forest and how we can help these elevation changes shift so that there is not the washout, that might help solve the problem in a more, zoomed out way. So researching forest management plans, what that looks like, how we could actually implement it. We do have one at Drake Farmstead that we use it. That's what we reference when we do our volunteer sessions and the work that we do. So it would be a benefit to have that plan made. Another trash barrel. Old Township Hall, just like the building, I didn't know where to put it in this presentation either because I don't know what to do with that building, but it falls under parks and we repainted it in '23. Last year we did the letters again. We continue to maintain it, but it is what it is. So visioning for Old Township Hall is something that
Move
we
it to town or Drake
Okay.
Farmstead.
I have a vision for this.
Yeah.
We move it to Drake Farmstead, and inside every year, we will have,
One board meeting.
The July
a
one.
sugaring and shearing festival where we will have maple syrup and sheep that get sheared in the spring, and we're gonna have butter making competitions maybe in this thing. It'll be amazing.
Sure not. Greg actually got quotes for moving this, and I can't remember the exact amounts, but moving it to this campus, it was about half the amount of moving it to Drake because of the power lines. So, but I think the most moving it to Drake was maybe $40,000.
It's in the CIP.
So we gotta figure out what we're doing with that.
Burn the CIP too.
Just throwing that out there. I don't know what to
We
do with
will
it.
get a stampede of folks. There are people, oh, no.
No.
There are people that call about that building.
Yeah, well,
You? What do they call and say, why
when
is it
it's
still there?
gone, when it's gone, they won't call anymore.
Right, what do people call about? Like, are they concerned about it?
Yeah, the condition, when are you gonna redo the lettering, like,
You need to write a check.
What, did
There are
they
people
spend
that-
like 14 grand or something to get the lead abated, or 20 grand, is that how much it was?
20 grand to paint it.
To paint it.
Yeah,
20 grand to
Absolutely.
paint that?
Uh-huh.
It's full of lead.
but yeah, cause they had to
You
deal with the
can't
lead.
just put paint on it. You have to scrape the old paint off and take care of that
The old
paint.
style, you could
Take it to a landfill that's certified. There's a lot to it.
Oh, yeah, we could just take it to landfill.
I got one of those too.
I was thinking the fire department, you know.
We just
How many yards do you think that would be?
Absolutely not.
dismantle and rebuild it.
So as the township board leadership, you guys can make those decisions. to take on the big.
You know, that's an interesting idea.
We have
I wonder if that's a possibility.
We have a motion on the
Learning that?
Just dismantling it.
Oh, and re-putting it
Yeah.
back, yeah.
All right, moving along.
Okay, I wanna highlight a couple future playground improvements. These are for Fletcher Field and Township Park. This is called an X-Wave. Another reason why I have photos, because I have in there replacing the X-Wave. This is no longer a supported piece of equipment. There's been safety failures on it. We have one at Township Park and one at Fletcher Field. We can't even buy parts anymore to fix it. We need to replace that. So my vision for next year is to replace that with another feature. I also want to add more accessible features, which these are companion swings, so either a child or two adults, or they also make them, you can kind of see behind the accessible swing, the picture on the left, there's a tot seat, which is an infant seat or a child seat, that you could sit on it and face your child and swing together. So we're trying to create like connections and accessibility and make our parks welcoming to everyone, and these are a big hit in most parks, and I would like to replace a couple of swings with just these. So we have 2 accessible swings right now at each park. We would replace one with an accessible companion swing and keep the other accessible swing. So it's not an effort to reduce accessibility, it's just to provide a more engaging experience for people that are on the swings. This is a spinner. We have plenty of spinners at Township Park and Fletcher Field, but they are all flat seats and there's no back or arm hold. So if you have accessibility issues or a wheelchair user, you can sit on those, get yourself on, and then still have the spinning feature. So replacing some of our current spinners, keeping the same spinners idea, but just making them more accessible with backs and arm, like handrails on them. All right, shifting to programming. First, our goal for 25 was to create more self-guided programs. Self-guided programs are ones you can do on your own. You don't have to, it's not scheduled. Your family could come out to the park and do it at any time. That's been one of our big pushes with the Friends of the Parks, to offer more programming without having to do more work for staff or setting things up. So the Story Walk at Township Park is a good example of that. We just had a launch June 9th with the library supporting that program. We had 90 participants come, which is great considering it was in the middle of between 2 rainstorms. Let's see. Where am I? Okay. That whole entire project came to like life from Greg Fountain. It was his idea. We did it together with the Friends of the Park members and other volunteers. So we put the pads in. That was Bruce from the Friends of the Parks, and Greg did that themselves. We had the Story Walk installed, and then we had this launch party. So it's really great. It starts coming from the library. So the crosswalk that comes from the library is storyboard number 1, but they are all numbered so you can figure out where the first one is. And we did that because the library is doing a push that if you experience a story walk, you can go into the library, you can check out the book you just read, and you can get a free takeaway item. So it's a partnership between the township, the Friends of the Park, and the library, and so that's why it kind of starts on the library side and then goes counterclockwise. Another self-guided program we have is a scavenger hunt at Drake Farmstead. Another volunteer created these informational signs that tell something about the farming heritage of that property or something unique to it. So it points out old animal pens. It points out the tool shed foundation. There used to be a kitchen garden behind the house. And so what we have is we've created a map with the yellow stars are where those things are located. And then there's a bingo card that you can print out. So this is on our Facebook. You can print it. We're going to have it on our website. We're not there yet. You can come in the Township Hall. You can pick it up, and it's an activity you can do by yourself with your family, aside from us having to facilitate it. But still, our goal is to get people outside, get them enjoying our parks, and experience a park that they haven't been to yet. So far, we haven't really been pushing this very much, but that's something I would like to do for this year, is to keep generating reasons for people to come out to our parks without having to schedule something. The other push for programming we've had is volunteer-led programming. So we have had volunteers that have led specific topics like our wildflower walk at Drake Farmstead. There weren't many wildflowers, but that's the timing issue. But we still had almost 30 people come to that event. Especially it was very cold, as you can see, everyone's wearing a coat. But that was a really good turnout, and it's again another passive way to get people connecting, get people outdoors, learning about their natural environment, but in a less event setup way. Another one we just started is we had Life in the Forest. There's a 3-series program we're doing with Lori. She's the one on the right, bending over, showing the kids. She came with insects in all those little containers. She came with a snake. She came with a chameleon, or a salamander, slugs, and the kids were just like, what? And they let them all go, but she talked about the life cycle of a tree and how it's a seed, and then it's a seedling, and then it's a mature tree, and then it decomposes. And then that provides fertile soil for the seed to be fertilized, to grow. So she was just talking about how all the parts of nature link together. So this is where she had pictures of things. She had little handouts where you could identify what you're looking at. Is this bark a cherry tree, or is this bark, an oak tree? How to identify trees. Just a real good way to kind of get people out. And then also on the trails. So we walked this loop with them. We pointed out, you're going to walk on this loop. And the point is to encourage them to come back another time and say, okay, I've already walked that. I feel comfortable. I'm going to keep going. One of my last topics is rental facilities. That just continues to be a huge piece of my workload, but it's seen a lot of improvements this year. So we have 3 indoor rental facilities: Grange Hall, Oshtemo Community Center, and the Drake Farmstead Carriage Barn. We also rent 2 pavilions at our Flesher and Township Park, but these are indoor facilities. A large part of my vision for 26 is website improvements. I want to create slideshows that show pictures of these facilities inside, that you can almost tour them your own, so you don't call us and ask us how many bathrooms are there, how many tables are there, and then also have a fact sheet at the end of the slides that say 8-foot tables, 10 of them, 80 chairs, just to give people the information they can't find it on our website. So another push, now that our goal for 25 was to create a rental policy and procedures. Now that we have our internal path laid out, we want to then launch it onto our website so that people can view our facilities, know what they want, find the information they want without having to call our offices and kind of navigate through that. Here's just a chart of rental facilities listed there on the left. Then it shows 2024, 357, and then 2025, January to June 15th, already completed dates, and then also the scheduled ones. So that is about 40, I didn't do the math, I don't think, 40 more than last year. So having those improvements to our facilities, adding the kitchenette, having additional parking spaces is creating more rentals, which is creating more revenue for our township. So
Excuse me.
that's been kind of a big push.
When we get calls, people often just say, I want to rent the building. And we always have to go, which building,
Yeah.
And typically the one they're talking about is the community center. That's the one they're aware of. And so then they're surprised. And we have had people go ahead and put in an application for one of the other ones that they didn't even know existed, so.
And we've had
There's
people
education out there.
fill out an application to rent the carriage barn, not know where to put it at the carriage barn, and slide it under the Drake Farmstead house door, and we find it 3 weeks later. And it's like, well, where does it say on our website where we turn in forms? So then it's like, oh, let's start having a red line that's, all rental applications are turned in. Because a lot of people think the community center is a community center where there's somebody would be there.
Yeah.
And so they slide applications in the door all the time. And so having that information better accessible will kind of cut down on those. And I also personally give carriage barn tours a few times a week, which I drive out to the facility and let people in and look through it. And that's just not a good use of my time either. And so I'm like, if we could have a visual tour, and you see when you can walk through the room through the visual tour, I think that would cut down on a lot of that too, and just make it a little bit less of a load for us handling rentals. Lastly, I couldn't have done any of this year without the support staff that got added. It was a big jump to go from a 1-person show to now, I don't know, I guess it's
1 1/3.
1 1/3, it's hard to, there are 3 more people. So Hannah Hudson is our seasonal park intern. She was our MC at our first concert this year, if you missed it. Karen Griffin is the administrative assistant for Parks, Maintenance, and Building Department, so that's kind of where that third comes in. And then Sherry Mullins is our seasonal gardener. That was a position we've had previous years, but we revisited this year because we are just overrun by plantings and natural beds and or perennial beds that we just struggle to maintain on the maintenance department side. So she is seasonal, so she's May through September, and she's 20 hours a week. She also takes care of a portion of the work for the DDA at the Oshtemo Village sign, in front of the community center, and then the roundabout at Millard's Way. So it's a partnership between a contracted service, so she doesn't spread mulch or mow around those areas, but she does the weeding and the replanting of things. So if you see her out in a park, that's what she's doing. She usually works maybe 7 a.m. until 11 because it's just too warm to be out. So she's been a great addition. I could tell at the back of our gazebo during our first concert how much better it looked with having some attention that probably would not have gotten to if we didn't have her in staff. So none of these goals would have really came to where they've been at without increasing the staff. So I want to thank the board for approving new positions in the Parks Department. One of my visions is also to continue to grow the positions in the Parks Department and the Maintenance Department, because as we add properties, we're adding a 2-mile fruit belt trail that will need to be maintained. We're talking about adding a new park, West Oshtemo Park, I think it's being called for right now.
Yes.
I just hate saying the space
The
behind.
Pocket Park on 9th Street that we bought, I think this year, we finalized it this year. So
Once we develop.
everything that's getting built over here is Westgate, West Villages, and I'm like, we're just gonna call it West Oshtemo Park, we might as well just.
And where do we live on, the west side of the town?
Yeah.
They're not anywhere near us.
Anyway,
Anyway, as we
So,
add more park
advocacy,
properties,
for your advocacy for self, go ahead.
we have to continue to grow our departments to be able to maintain these properties, or else we're gonna reach a point where we can't maintain them. So I'm pushing for more parks and maintenance department staffing in order to continue these things that we're doing and grow from where we are now. Questions?
Questions for Vanessa? I have a question, and you don't have to answer it right now, but I'm gonna, like, sometime in the future, I think, what kinds of positions, are gonna be of interest. And I guess we're gonna wanna know that opinion, before we go into certainly finalizing a budget, but we would want that information in hand because, it's important as far as, first of all, where you think the help would be most beneficial, and also how it would lay in the overall organizational structure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I will say my first push is gonna be for more maintenance staff for parks. Because we can continue to add the programming and the passive programming and all these things, but if they're not mowed or they're not kept, it's like, why did we build something before we were ready for it? So I would like to build a better foundation to maintain things and not have our staff strapped for time and they care so much, our maintenance team cares so much, but there's just so many properties that some things always have to kind of fall. So I would like to rather support them instead of saying, hey, now I got this new property we have to maintain too. So I would really like to push for building a parks maintenance and then look at internal staff for more programming, but that's after the fact. We have to maintain what we have already first.
Yeah, I usually try at the board meetings to give an update of what we're doing in Friends of the Parks and stuff, but this is awesome. Way better than anything I could have, I ever report on it. It's just been incredible just to see it visually. I will also throw out there that you continue to work and make connections, working with the OHS for the Drake House and all those connections and having them involved with programming out at the farmstead and initiating those conversations and then reaching out to additional sponsors and making other connections and businesses to try and get them to contribute some, bucks perhaps to more things and get more people connected.
Thank you.
That's a lot of work.
I did a lot of work with OHS this year for writing a grant from America 250 Michigan, which has funding for restoring historical properties, and with my assistants, we all wrote a grant together and they secured the funding to redo the stairs and the upstairs, refinish the stairs. We're gonna apply next year, they're gonna apply, and I will help them with next year, the kitchen. The kitchen is the big last thing. The problem is it's structurally not sound under the actual subfloor. The joists are run the wrong way, and so there has to be some things brought to code. And I think as the Parks Department and the township owning that facility, the foundation of that house falls under our umbrella. So I'm gonna assist them with writing that grant in order to secure funding to make those improvements, because it comes right back to us as a property we own. We should contribute time to making that achievable.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa. Greg Fountain.
Can we take 5?
Can we take a short break?
Oh, you know what? I'm just mesmerized. Of course we can take a short break. I'm sorry, everyone. Why don't we want to return at 7:20? 7:15?
Doesn't need to be that long.
7:15? Okay. All right, we will adjourn and return at 7:15. You ready, Kenji? Okay, it's 7:15 and I will call this meeting back to order. And as a reminder, we're here, our department heads are presenting their achievement goals and visions in preparation for our 2026 budget. And up next, we have our maintenance director, Greg Croton.
That's right.
There's two Gregs, so I always have to
Get the right one. So yeah, I've been your maintenance director for the last 2 years. Starting to get the hang of it. We do a lot of things. You all know that we take care of, we make sure the lights work, we make sure the toilets flush, we make sure all those details, it all happens. But we also do a lot of other things, and that's what I'm gonna talk about. I like to say I have basically 4 customers, and we support Parks Department, projects, repairs, support the Fire Department, projects, repairs, and support cemetery buildings and grounds with projects and repairs. And of course, we support IT with projects and repairs. And as we go through these AGBs, you know, there's a lot of connections I have with these other departments. So a lot of times, and I put in here goals that we've accomplished, I act as a project manager. We're not doing the actual work, but we're involved with the project from many different aspects. Getting estimates, working with Chief McComb, Vanessa, Sherry, Dusty, all the things, working with it so that we make, you know, good decisions for projects. So, just a little background there. Major accomplishments for this year and some of what happened last year. Starting out with the fire department. We had some major projects. You're all aware that we had the mold remediation problem at Station 2. Took care of that. Got the painting project done, Station 2. The window project at Station 2. And completion of the HVAC system. All the HVAC was replaced at Station 2, and that's made a huge impact in the comfort of that station. Working with a couple of systems that just were not up to par anymore. It made it tough to control the temperature within the building. I was in there today, and as you walk through the building, it's a good consistent temperature throughout. The new systems are working great. We've had 0 complaints about the HVAC this year since we got it installed at Station 2, and I think that's important to know. All we have to do now that they're replaced is filters and just, you know, the basic things, keeping them clean and working. It's been huge.
I wondered if there was maintenance that was supposed to happen to some of the HVAC, the generators, or anything that contributed to their failure. I mean, I know that it's been a run to failure situation.
It has. And I would say that we've done a good job of maintaining the equipment. We continue to do a good job of maintaining the equipment, but it gets to end of life where it just doesn't anymore, you know? I mean, it's like your car, same thing. Works great, 150,000 miles on it, it's a good car, your transmission goes out.
So it's not necessarily because we weren't caring properly for the reasons, right?
And to my analogy, your transmission goes out. Okay, you put a new transmission in it. You spent $3,000, $4,000 for a transmission, right? And you've still got a car with 150,000 miles. What's gonna break next? And that's what we keep coming into time and time again here for not just the fire department, but for all our facilities. We're basically at a 20-year point where things just really need to be replaced. We just had an issue at Station 5-1 where the HVAC was not working in the day room. It's an old system, and we got it fixed, and talking to the tech, he's like, I got it going the best I can, and it will fail again. Hopefully not this summer, but it will fail again fairly soon. And we'll talk about that on how we should upgrade and what I would propose that we would upgrade systems so that it's a more comfortable environment and so that in these extreme days, we still maintain a good work environment to be in. So, yeah, this HVAC that we had at Station 2, it was the same thing. We had some systems that kind of worked pretty good, some that weren't, and again, one room is working great, then you go to the next room and, oh my gosh, now it's all humid in here, so.
Just in our walk to
Oh,
to
absolutely.
go over there, I went through 7 different climates.
You get it. Our hallway here, we're struggling with the system that, HVAC system for the hallway and for the lobby out front. I just had it worked on and it's doing okay, but when we get to, you know, the extremes of the spectrum for heating and cooling, it can't. It's doing its best, but it's time for replacement.
I can't think of the name of it, but I just had the addition put on my house and the HVAC system and the ducting that I had in the house, it really just couldn't keep up with an addition.
Exactly.
And they have them all over Europe.
Mini splits.
Yes, a mini split. That
And
thing
to
is
that point,
amazing.
For 5.2,
Yeah.
Station 2, on top of the 3 main HVAC units, for the comfort of the personnel that use the dorm room,
Mhm.
we had a mini split put in. And now the personnel can go in there, they can decide what's a good temperature, and they can adjust it for that room, not the whole building.
Yes, that's how, with my addition, and it has just
Yeah.
really helped. It helps alleviate the taxing of my HVAC system.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, as well as keeping that room comfortable, but.
The fire department personnel have been really happy with that. As long as I've been here, it's been a struggle. It's too hot in there, it's too cold, open the window, shut the window. So now they can go in and they can dial it in specifically to their sleeping quarters. And we have the same struggle here at 5.1. And working with Chief McComb, we're going to try and, for 2026, try to get mini splits in those dorm rooms for the comfort of because nobody's the same.
Yeah,
Dusty likes it really warm and
right.
Yeah, I
Sherry
do.
likes it really
No, I
cold.
Like I said, in Europe, they're in it's just common, they're in all the bedrooms usually, and
Right.
sometimes the living spaces, and,
Yeah,
they seem pretty cost effective, they seem to be.
I think it is. One thing to mention too, while we're talking about 5.2, is it's amazing to me, the solar system, and kind of a European thing as well, but the solar panels we've had installed has cut the electric use, or the electric bill significantly. I just approved a bill for consumers for Station 5.2 today. It was $16. That was the total bill,
Versus, what was it?
$1,200. It's an amazing amount of money
I
that's,
didn't get these on my house, is it too late? Did
Well-
Trump repeal that? He did, he
Sure.
threw back the green, I know, I think.
and
there's
it's a great point, but
I
there
can't
is,
freeze
you have to remember, you're paying $16, but you also paid a whole lot of money.
Upfront.
And what is the payout on that? But
Yeah.
to me, that's really an amazing amount of money that's being saved on electric bill, so. Now, that's not every month, it will be 16, but
No, that's
even if we split it in half from, $1,200 a month, that's still a big savings, so. Anyway, I got sidetracked. But anyway, that's the thing we're trying to move towards. I think Chief McComb approached me late last year to get these improvements in. We didn't make it all for 2024. As I said, we got the HVAC in, but because of the mold issues, of course, you all know that it slowed that project down. We did get the ceiling fans put in. They're really great out in the bay to keep the air moving. It's a better environment for the firemen as well to work in there because there's no AC in there. So that all went really well and some good successes. And I think the takeaway from that is we have to apply that to all our facilities, that step back and what shape is the facility in? How do we go about upgrading these facilities? That's what's most important. It's not just paint on the walls, but let's get the mechanicals up and better. So those are some successes. And as I sit here, I look back at all the things in the last 2 years that we've done. We've done an awful lot of really good things. I get caught up in the day-to-day, oh my God, this light doesn't work, oh, this sink is dripping, but so many projects that you have approved have really been good for the facilities. Station 1, we put in all new flooring in the day room, in the kitchen, and in their small workout room. It's made it it's a better environment for the firemen to be in. I know that it's, you know, it's made a big impression on that. It's good for morale, it's good for cleaning it, it's all the good things. So really happy that that turned out. And we're getting back to HVAC because I have major repairs at Station 1. We have all rooftop units for Station 1. They're more complex than your home heating system. And we had to replace 2 heat exchangers on the rooftop units. It was fairly expensive, so, you know, we're at that end of life for all of the Station 1's rooftop units, which is a total of 5 units. It's time for them to go. We're patching them along, but I don't think it's money well spent to keep, you know, keep throwing dollars here and there. It makes sense to upgrade the HVAC. And Chief McComb and I will be talking to one of our contractors tomorrow about getting some prices together. What's it gonna cost to upgrade these? We did good things by putting the roof on. It's huge, putting the new roof. We don't have leaks inside anymore. It's a better environment. We've replaced the ceiling tiles. It looks better, and I can sleep at night knowing that another rainstorm, I'm gonna get more complaints of water's coming in. So, you know, that's the thing, is start at the roof, work your way down. We're at the end of life on so many of our systems. Like I say, we're talking tomorrow to get some prices together for new HVAC units for Station 1. In my opinion, all the right things are happening and upgrades for Station 2, and we need to focus on our others. Just get them in better shape. It's better for everybody.
Maybe we
So-
can get a bulk discount for the HVAC systems.
Oh, we will. If I say we need
Seriously.
5, they will.
I was gonna say, they should give us a discount if we're gonna
They
be
will.
replacing them all.
Right. Well, yeah, and Township Hall is the same story. All the units there are 20 years old. And I know as you all walk through there that it's doing its best. It's end of life. We need to start looking at that. What's it gonna cost? And for Station 2, the HVAC replacements, it's just so refreshing for me to know that I'm not gonna get a call that, you know, the meeting room doesn't work, you know.
Somebody's ticked
So-
off.
So, yeah, well, as well they should be. And it's worth noting too that your maintenance department, before we call outside vendor to come in and, you know, if we have an HVAC problem, I just don't call up a vendor and say, come in and get this fixed. We go in, we check it out, we do our own diagnostics, maybe we can fix it, maybe we can, you know, get it going again, and there's a huge savings in that. And having a maintenance department with the skill sets to understand how the system works, so you can better communicate with a contractor is huge.
Yeah.
So know that happens, whether it's HVAC, whether it's a Plimo vent system for the fire station, whether it's plumbing issues that we have for all our different facilities. We go in first, can we do this? And I have to make a decision, can we, you know, does it make sense to use our time to fix that? Or would it make better sense just to call you know, an outside vendor to take care of a problem? And it's, we had an incident here where our generator for Township Hall failed. It was doing its, every week they do a half-hour run where they come on by themselves and they go through, they start up and they run through their system and make sure everything works. The system failed. So your maintenance department went out there and we did our basic diagnostics to see, you know, where are we at? Can we get this thing going or what? And we came to the, you know, within an hour of us looking at it, it's like, no, we need to call in an outside vendor. Yeah, to take care, well, they have the parts and everything. I mean, we have to know, I mean, my parts supplier is Menards, right? I mean, that's close, it's easy. And sometimes you just have to call the guy with the stuff on his truck so they can get things going. It's just important to note that that's how we approach any kind of failure. So we look at it first, can we fix it? If we can't, then call in the expertise. Again, with the new roof, we were able to replace all the ceiling tiles. It looks so much better in 5-1's office. It just bugged the heck out of me. You look up and there's all these yellow sagging ceiling tiles, so good improvement. Your station 5-3, it holds its own. It has aged, it has very old HVAC units, but they keep working and I kind of keep an eye on them, and we're gonna try, because it's not a manned facility, it's not so critical. So Station 3 could use some exterior improvements. We'll have to work with Chief and see what he wants to do. We did have some tree issues. If you look on the north side of that property, there was lots of trees that had started coming in from that woods and were hanging over the building and causing problems, and moss on the roof and everything. We got that all cleaned up, so it's good things happen there. Parks Department, Vanessa already spoke to so many upgrades and improvements, and we do a lot. We work closely with the Parks Department to keep them as nice as they are. We made some major improvements in OCC plumbing. Drake House had some plumbing issues that we had to take care of. Vanessa spoke of the Drake Barn kitchenette project. Even though we didn't do the actual work, we still were involved with setup and making sure measurements are correct, all those things, so that it could turn out the best it could. Playground repairs are a constant thing. Vanessa didn't touch on that, other than she's looking to replace some of the equipment. And this equipment isn't something that your maintenance department can take care of. This is, it's all anchored in cement. There's specifications for safety. It has to be done by professionals that come in and do those things. Vanessa and I do go out monthly and we check the chains, we check the bolts, we do all those things to keep them working as safely and the best that they can. Picnic tables, we can, this is kind of silly, but we continue to upgrade those. They're very expensive. Picnic table for all our facilities, one picnic table is like $1,200, but I like the fact that they're recycled plastic and they're extremely durable. We're slowly getting rid of all our wooden ones, which are in very bad condition. And for our storyboard, we took the old picnic tables and we used the wood off them to make the cement forms. So they were recycled in that way.
Nice.
Instead of just throwing them away. I thought that was cool.
That is
So,
cool.
and also, on our storyboard, there was no cost to the township. It was all volunteer time, including mine. And we used our Menard dollars for our 11% off that we keep to buy the cement, to buy the hardware, all those things. So we tried to keep the cost as low as possible. As you know already, the library actually supplied the storyboard signs. So it's a cool project. I'm really glad that we were able to do that. It turned out very well, and I just think it's a great segue between the library and the parks. So cemetery buildings and grounds. Well, we've gotten done. I'm sure you've noticed. Township Hall, you approved the bathroom upgrades and improvements. We've done that. We replaced a building department truck. That was not expected, but those things happen. Working with Sherry for upgrades that she wants to see in the office as far as chairs, desks, mats, and everything, making that happen. We did the project of the South Conference Room turning into office space. In my opinion, that turned out really well. It's a nice space for the two people that are in there now, and it was a good use of that space. We haven't had any problems with not having it as a conference room, if you will. So I think it's
Minimal. I wouldn't say zero, but I would say it's minimal.
Yeah.
I think what's happening is that the main meeting room is getting used a lot more for meetings during
Yes,
the day.
exactly.
Which is not a bad thing. I mean,
Right.
that's So
Let's use this, sure.
I think it's just, it's
And it was
switched.
kind of tight for having meetings and.
Oh, it
you
was
know,
tight for meetings.
So it was a good use of that space, and working with Sherry, we
I think
continue,
they adjusted finally.
we're continuing to work on office space within the main township hall, so that's ongoing.
We need another bathroom too, or two.
I know, that's gonna be the next problem.
We only have 2 bathrooms in this building, and it is a regular occurrence to get up to go use the restroom, and both of them are occupied all the time.
And I don't know what code is for the amount of people for bathrooms, but I bet you we're darn close, so, yeah, that's a very real problem. For Dusty, we installed the voting ballot drop boxes and camera systems, not only at the community center, but working with IT, getting them set up to hear that was a good project. As always, I put this in here for storm damage. When we have a storm, the first thing maintenance does is we come in, if we don't get called in at night, which happens, for whatever reason, this doesn't work, that happened, a tree fell down. But we do we hop in the trucks and we go tour each facility to assess the damage and to see what issues we may have, power, trees, broken buildings, whatever. So the recent storm, we did have some tree damage and we've addressed most of that. But that's just what your maintenance department does, is we like to make sure we know that what shape every property's in after a major storm. So we did, with your approval, we did replace our other zero-turn mower. So we were limping those along. We've got good use. We went, I'm sure I've told you before, but we went beyond the normal 1,600 hours when a machine is considered worn out. So we got good use out of those. Everybody, fire department, anybody on staff can use our maintenance request log. And it's worth noting that as of 6/12/25, when I put this together, we had closed 166 maintenance requests. And that's everything from, I need a bulletin board put up, to the lights don't work, to cemetery issues, all the things. So we stay really busy. The first thing we do, and just to reiterate, is first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock, we come in and see what's going on the maintenance request log and address those issues as quickly as we can. So goals for 2025, and again, a lot of these, half of them are on there, but ongoing things that we need to address this year for fire department is asphalt maintenance at Station 2. That driveway is in dire need of some repairs and resealing and restriping. So all those things will still happen this year. The rain gutters are in bad condition. I need to get that sorted out. And at Station 2. One good thing, and thanks Anna, is Station 1, we're gonna be able to connect to city sewer months, fairly soon, Anna. So that will be great, because we are on a septic system, which is just a maintenance problem for me. This is gonna be good. Parks Department, we haven't gotten done, but we're going to get done this year, is the roof replacement. We've already budgeted this for at Grange Hall. It's in bad shape. And that'll also include removing the existing chimney, which is no longer used, the brick chimney, so that it doesn't fall into the building. That is not used anymore. I've talked to the our parks committees, and everybody's like, yeah, get rid of it. We don't need it for aesthetic reasons. Let's see here. As Vanessa spoke to, we're planning on putting a generator in at the Drake property. That's in the budget as well. So I need to get going on that. Community center, same thing. The driveway's in, it needs help. And we keep kicking this one down the road. Grange Hall, we do have some foundation repairs. And as Vanessa spoke to, tree and brush maintenance at the disc golf course, it's not in very good shape, and we need to get going on getting that in better shape. And perhaps have a forest management plan. Cemeteries, buildings and grounds, I kind of lumped that into kind of everything else. Fill staffing needs, we continue to have that issue with maintenance staff, and Vanessa spoke to it as well. There is a need for additional staffing. We're working on it. I know our HR department is working very hard on it. One thing we need to do, and this is, I say this every time, we need to audit township facilities. We have some very real problems. Sherry and I have been talking about it. We need to get some help with the water intrusion problems and this stucco siding and the windows and everything. So much of that is reached end of life. We've done studies in the past. We need to get a hold of some help, architects, whoever, for expansion if needed. And how are we gonna fix all this? What's it gonna take? We need to get a plan together, and I think we need to stick to that plan, because you've done this before with fire department. I think 2014, maybe 16, I don't remember. But a similar study was done. And the study was done, and we really didn't do much to act on those suggestions. So I think, going forward and working with Sherry, we've decided that, and there's money in the budget to get some assistance. And how do we go about this? It's more than your maintenance director can do. It's a very big project. And what's that going to take? And what does that look like? And how would we displace people while we're, where would we put them while we're doing this work? So there's a lot to it. It's recognized that work needs to be done. I need to move on that and see what, I'll use as a model what we did for the fire department study and head in that direction. So we're continuing to investigate options for the maintenance department building. We're looking at Anna and Zach have done some studies. We're working with an engineering firm right now to move forward with a carport on the north side of the maintenance garage. That will free up, the vehicle garage. The maintenance garage is a little one, the vehicle garage is the larger building. They've done the initial engineering work, and we're moving forward to see what the cost of putting a carport to put the sheriff cars in aligned along the north side there, under a carport. Sheriff's department's on board. We're looking to fence that in, and as John spoke about, putting in security cameras and all the things, and asphalt and all that. So that work is going forward. That's exciting. That would give maintenance a good amount of room that we've sorely needed for years. Roof replacement, maintenance garage, you've approved that. We continue to, wherever LED lights replacements throughout the township facilities. I think we're done with fire, and this room could use the LED conversions, all those things. They save us money, and it's just the right thing to do. Just know that we don't put fluorescent lights in, we don't fix fluorescent lights, we move forward with modern LED lighting. You've already approved equipment trailer, we'll move forward with that. And that's what I spoke with, was support the proposed vehicle garage improvements with the carport and all that. I think we're hoping that happens this year. We'll have to see how the money plays out. So the other thing is, just like the fire, we're able to hook up Township Hall to city sewer. That's really good news. So I also put in here, we may have to replace, I put it in for 2026, or I will be, to replace the Township Hall generator, which failed on us this week. We're waiting to see with Wolverine Equipment, who is our Generac dealer, to see, they've ordered parts. Hopefully we can keep that generator working until 2026. If it turns out we can't, we may have to replace it as soon as possible. It's a critical piece of equipment to keep this going.
Yeah, if the power goes down here, we talked about this last night at the board meeting. Fire department has its own generator, so
Right.
we're all just gonna take up their offices and gonna move in.
So what's the plan if they can't, right? I mean, I'm having these thoughts, what are we gonna do? So what's the plan right now? Like I said, we have Wolverine equipment is getting the parts, we're gonna see if we can get this one going. And the reason I put it out is 2026, as you know, we replaced both generators, for the fire department, and we've had zero problems with them. They come on when they're supposed to, they shut off when they're supposed to, all the good things. I wasn't too concerned about this generator. It kind of caught me off guard that it did fail like that. So now it's cast the seeds of doubt, and here I am. So that's to be determined. You'll hear from me in probably the next week here. If that doesn't fix it, we're gonna have to find a way to get a temporary replacement for that, much like the fire department do. Sherry's been working with, remind me who that is.
Office of Emergency Management.
Yeah, we got the generator for Station 1 here to take up that until we could get the new generator, but that's to be determined. We'll hope that their part repairs it and we can keep going until, but you'll see me in January, we will be replacing that if we don't have to do it sooner. So, visions for 2026. And as I will say, I support these 4 departments. It's really, what are they sending me? What is their vision? How can I assist with that to make those happen? So here's some things I do know. Again, replace the Township Hall generator, replace the Camry, the Toyota Camry. Heck of a car, 2008, we've pushed it this far. It doesn't give me trouble, knock on wood.
No, but we need that vehicle. I hope we keep that vehicle and we need another vehicle in our fleet.
Yeah, I mean, I put that in there as well. I don't know what that looks like, Sherry.
We can
Do we
talk
keep
about
that
it.
one? Yeah, and that's to be determined. Or do we get another truck and share it? Yeah, it's for all the things we're doing now, that so many different projects and things out and about, that Camry has become a very popular vehicle. So we'll have to see how that plays out. John Deere tractor has to be replaced. It's reached end of life. Been a great little tractor, but I also put in there for 2026, same thing. The maintenance vehicle garage has its own generator, and looking to replace that. It's about end of life. I don't trust it anymore. So, be looking for that. As we just spoke, there's vehicle needs for 2026. What are we gonna do? And how's that gonna look? And more towards the end of 2025 here, we'll have to come up with a more solid plan. All the things, cemetery fencing, repairs, there's a lot going on there. We need to decide how that's all gonna happen and what's most important. Genesee Prairie, looking for an expansion to that will be section 11. And again, I would be more maybe working with Anna and Zach. What does that look like? I don't know. It needs to happen. We're running out of room. Equipment updates, all those things. One thing I would like to do, 2026, I need to work with John and figure out what is the true cost of replacing our door lock system to a badge swipe system. I would like to know that real number and maybe approach you, the board, to seriously look at doing that. The door lock system we have now it's reaching end of life. Anyway, that's what I know going right now and going forward. So, question, comments?
It's a lot.
Awesome job.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I can give you a ballpark figure on the card readers. That's what I do.
Is it really?
That's one of the things I do, alarms and cameras.
Excellent.
So I'm gathering quotes all day long for
Cool.
alarms and cameras, so I can,
We need
you
to
let me know
talk.
how many, I know, do you wanna know how many, we used to use AUTS, Allied Universal Technology Systems, and now we're going to securitize. So I'll have maybe a couple different quotes for you, if you wanna tell me
Fantastic.
how many card
Okay.
readers you're looking at.
That's great.
I can even help you place them.
You will be hearing from me. That's great to know, because
Yeah.
we need a subject matter expert. That's
I'm
what,
not an expert. I'm not an expert, but I get the quotes all day long, so I know what
Perfect.
parts need to go and roughly what each one would cost.
I mean, we're just throwing numbers out there. I need to know what the reality is. What's it really gonna cost
That I
us?
can give you, but I'm not an expert in them. And the technology of them anyway.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Last
So
but
in the
not
last
least.
10 minutes, we have
Yeah.
We will have you out of here by 10 or 15 minutes.
My daughter asked me when I'll be coming home, and I gave her an estimate, so we'll see if you can meet that.
Yeah, so, everybody, does have a copy of our AGVs, but, what we did was, we've got a PowerPoint that just hits some of the major things. Answer any questions you have on what, the handout here is, but the PowerPoint will get us through this a little quicker. Might be the fastest, budget meeting you've had with us yet, so.
Thanks, well, that's yet to be proven.
Well, now I feel like asking a lot of questions.
We'll see what,
Suddenly, I'm real comfortable.
what we
I
do,
believe we're
so.
very, very interested.
Very, very turned on.
Deputy Chief and I are gonna swap between, each one of the slides, so he'll talk some, I'll talk. And this was my first slide with the introduction, so move on.
Oh, my turn. Sorry, I'm trying to get this to the.
I feel like I'm staring at you, so I'm gonna turn to the screen.
So this slide is just our mission, vision, values. We won't spend too much time on this, other than I want to point out the picture in the background is 3 of our probationary firefighters were sworn in to full status. They completed their probationary period, and we swore them in front of what's not in the pictures, their families there too. And then we had cake and refreshments for them. So we're really proud of those 3. They worked very hard to get through our grueling probationary period.
All right, so, looking at some of the things that we've got here, the picture in the middle on the right is the, what we call the Dutch wagon. That's from, Holland Township, the used fire engine we bought. We replaced, it's engine 513, it was supposed to replace engine 513, it ended up replacing 511. So that has been a great thing for us, however, it is in the shop right now, getting a few more things fixed on it. The new engine that is currently due, coming in, I had noticed today, they think it's gonna be leaving tomorrow from Minnesota and heading this way, and that is in the top right. And then the bottom right is the new pickup truck that we bought and outfitted for an EMS response vehicle out of Station 2. And then in the big picture, a little hard to see there, but the valve, one thing that you guys gave us the money to replace all the valves on the intake valves on the trucks, and that is one of the new valves. Looking at some of the notes there, public education trailer is sitting out at Station 3 right now. Captain Fuller is getting quotes to get stenciling and graphics put on it, but that will be used for all of his pub ed stuff. So, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, why have you changed the colors into being black on top and red on the bottom?
Yep, so it's actually a gray on top.
Right.
We talked with the crews about it. A lot of departments have white over red.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be different and make it Oshtemo. Nobody else in the county has a gray over red. And so that's what we decided to go with, and that makes it ours.
Okay. Just seemed like it'd be warmer in there, in the cab or something. Being hot.
Probably is.
And what, Texas?
Especially lately.
Okay, and then what, Texas Township has green or something?
Yeah, they just haven't left them out in the sun long enough to ripen
Yeah.
them up.
Gotcha. Yeah. They were just like,
picked
whoa.
trucks.
Okay.
Like the gray, I think it looks sharp too.
I
It's
just-
modern
it's gonna-
looking, I
It
think.
is, it's more.
It's gonna fade.
Black roofs are all the rage, man.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just move along, please.
I'm gonna take training and personnel. So I say new, but Jake has been with us for a while, our training officer. He's at, I can't keep up with him. He's at a full sprint at all times. So we've completed year-to-date 1,200 training hours between all of our personnel. What I'm highlighting in the photos up there is our technical rescue team. We've really been touting them a lot because we have had a regional team for a very long time, and it has been slowly kind of dying on the vine. And recently, the city of Kalamazoo approached us, Comstock, and Portage. I couldn't remember Portage. And said, hey, this thing's dying on the vine. There's a gap. We need to fill that gap. So what does that look like? So what we've decided internally is we have 10 members, myself included. I'm one of the 10. And we are on the Oshtemo Technical Rescue Team, which is now part of the Kalamazoo Metro Technical Rescue Team. The pictures you see up here is actually a training that the Oshtemo firefighters put on for that team. So we brought our equipment that's in our technical rescue trailer, and the city, actually, we had people from all over the region come attend our training that we put on, and we got a lot of compliments for it. But there we're actually at the water department, the city water department, and the training was man versus machine. So it's all the goofy ways humans like to put themselves inside of industrial machinery and how we have to get them out. So that was kind of what the training was all about. On top of the technical rescue team, we have certified 3 fire instructor 1s, Jake being one of them. That was a requirement of his job. The next one is, this is a really big deal because we now have 2 EMS instructor coordinators. This is slightly different than a fire instructor, as much as it bothers me. The EMS world has a much higher standard for their instructors than the fire service does. That bothers me a lot, but, and that class is very labor intensive. Jake has completed it, again, as a condition of his employment, and very surprising to us, one of our firefighters came to us and said, I would also like to do that. And we had already had a plan to have a backup to Jake. We like to have backups for everything. And they have both completed the course. What this allows us to do, the big deal is, this allows us to conduct our own internal continuing education credits for medical licensure. So we don't have to seek that from outside entities anymore or rely on other instructor coordinators. Scott Fuller has put together a 6-member public training team. This kind of correlates with that trailer we just bought. Their primary goal is to get out to our community for education and training initiatives like CPR, smoke detector installation, carbon monoxide, that kind of stuff. So he has a whole plan worked up on how we're going to engage the public and utilize that trailer to get out there and try to get hands-on training to our public. I already talked about the technical rescue team, and I already talked about the internal EMS education. Finally, we added 1 fire inspector 2. So there's, right now, this is going to change very soon at the state level, but there's fire inspector 1. I think we have 8 of those. Fire inspector 2, we have 3. And then the next level up is plans review, which is give me a blueprint and I'll tell you if it meets the fire code. This is one of our paid on call, actually. Again, a volunteer that came to us and said, I'm interested in doing this. And we're always looking for inspector backup. And I actually just found out today she has completed the plans review course. She has not taken the state certification yet. But that's a really big deal because that course has like a 45% washout rate. Very challenging course. And she passed it. So, well, she hasn't taken the state test yet, but she passed the course. So that is good news. So we're excited about that. Any questions?
All right, talking about community risk reduction. Been very busy, and Scott Fuller, Captain Fuller, has been instrumental in a lot of what you're seeing here. CPR, AED training, 100+ citizens. We've been doing a lot of different public events. Aaron, our administrative assistant, is doing the car seat installation.